Hello, everyone. This is Subhashish Acharya. I am the founder of Project Starfish, and today we're going to be talking about something very, very interesting. And the topic is going to be corporate diversity strategy. How do we develop an amazing corporate diversity strategy? And we're going to show you an end to end solution that will absolutely work. But before we go forward, I just want to let you know that Project Starfish is one of the best contemporary workforce development platform, and it's a complete integrated ecosystem that combines inclusion, diversity, and then looks into the other side, which is the work experience component, the empowerment component, and it creates opportunities and, of course, employment. So it's an end-to-end solution that anybody in the corporates can actually achieve. So let me show you a little bit about Project Starfish and the reasons why we opened Project Starfish. You see, there are millions of people all over the world, and they have a lot of ability. Unfortunately, there's no work opportunities for them. Why? It's simple. They just don't have opportunity. As Napoleon said, right? Napoleon said, ability is nothing without opportunity. And if we can create the opportunities, I believe we can have a tremendous diversity strategy for sure. So, what I want to tell you is the first thing that you should understand, nothing happens without a partnership. And sorry for this, nothing happens without a partnership. And partnership is very critical because it's a team game. So we identified that the solution to the national crisis that we have today, where millions of blind or disabled or veterans or students, why is the unemployment rate so high? Because of three things: contemporary skills, contemporary work experience, and social and business inclusion. So, if we can create a model, we can create opportunities. And that is exactly what Project Starfish does. And we call it a complete framework or a workforce development model that is solving the problem. The whole solution is scalable to, one person, to thousands, to perhaps millions one day. And of course, we are looking for partners who can help fund this initiative. Funding doesn't mean giving money like charity, but it is all about continuing this amazing movement that we have developed, which can transform lives by creating business value, and which in turn solves the social problems. Now, what we would like to show you is, very quickly, we have been very successful. You can look at this slide, maybe stop the video at this moment of time and take a look at the amazing success our professionals have had. And this is the first time, to be very honest with you, that professionals with disabilities, for example, have worked for terrific companies, and they are very contemporary. Gone are those days where you actually keep a pretty low a bar for professionals with disabilities. Over here, we just keep the bar at the same level as anybody who's contemporary, and even sometimes higher. So look at this. We have worked with Harvard Innovation Lab companies. We have worked with IT companies, companies in Australia, cloud companies, supply chain logistics companies, consulting companies. We are changing the game. And if you are somebody from the arena of diversity in the corporate companies, trust me, this is a solution that will really, really appeal to you. So, very quickly, again, I just want to let you know the biggest success is this: it is about the people we transform, and you'll be able to realize that There's only one success, and the success is transforming the lives of people. But to transform the lives of people, you need a solution that delivers business value, which is going to create the social value that we need. There has to be a win 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 everywhere in a diversity strategy. And we are exactly going to show you that. Of course, we've got some credentials, but more so, what we want to do is we want to show you the rest of the slides, which is how do we solve the problem? All right. So think of this. Think of the group of people that we want to empower. It can be professionals with visual impairment. It can be students. It can be veterans. It can be, single parents or professionals on wheelchairs. You name it. Now, the requirement, or at a very high level, the results that we are looking for is they need to have business knowledge. And business knowledge, as you realize, has to be very contemporary because companies or the big Fortune 500 or 2000, or in fact, I can tell you that really solid companies that have an edge in the whole economy are changing a lot. And the change is for good because it's going to be all about business knowledge. As long as people have business knowledge, the disability does not matter. And I'm going to exactly show you why and how. Now, think of this, we train an, a group of people, and as I said, we can scale from a city to states to countries to continents. Location is no barrier. We are 100% virtual, and being virtual has an amazing, amazing value, and that is it is like its own country where equality is everywhere. Nobody needs to know what the person's race is, what the person's religion is, what the person's looks would be, what the person's disability would be. If the person has a gender problem, if the person does not look good, it doesn't matter. In a virtual world, equality is everywhere. So, which means if it's equal and there's low perception problems, let's just focus on the business value, right? So, the first thing is the business knowledge, and that is very, very critical. The second piece is the workforce development piece. But as you realize that not everybody is going to be moving from one stage to the other, right? Which is the reason the second circle is actually smaller. And this is where we have to use experiential learning or a different way of creating workforce development. We call it a paid work experience or a paid internship, but it is based on a completely different philosophy called experiential learning, which is learning by doing. And learning by doing has to be business value driven. You cannot drive an internship which does not create value. Because if it is not business value, what's going to happen is it's going to look like charity and it doesn't really go far in transforming the lives of professional people, right? So if you look at the results of this, everybody expects that the result would be people would be empowered, people would professionals would have opportunities and they'll be able to sustain it. And you can only sustain it by transforming these people to either freelancers or entrepreneurs, which is great. And you can also transform them to be part-time employees as well, which is very common and it's going to be very common in the future. And of course, if you want to create bigger impact, and this is what most companies are looking for, full time employment is absolutely possible. But then we also believe that sometimes, or most of the time, it's going to be a mix and match of all of them together because not everybody has the same goal, right? So, how do we make it work? Here's how we build business knowledge. To build business knowledge, think of this. While there are millions of professionals who do not have opportunities, there are thousands and thousands of highly successful business professionals. Many of these business professionals actually want to create an impact. What if we could invite them on a platform and request them to invest 60 minutes to share their knowledge, their skills, their experience, their wisdom, and share it via phone, like a conference call attended by professionals with disabilities or people who need opportunities, or it can be Skype, like one to one mentoring, or archive these calls and put it on social media for people to just simply tap into and go through the learning, right? So let's use social media in a really social way. We call this program 60 Minutes to Impact. Now, if you realize why is it called 60 Minutes to Impact, the reason being it's a platform where people invest 60 minutes of their time to transform the lives of others with knowledge. And if you really look at this, we are here to develop knowledge and a live platform where knowledge is shared. It creates amazing inclusion. It is open to anybody. People just need a phone connection. People need a computer and internet. You're good to go. So which means we can scale beyond just a location, and that is very critical, right? Because knowledge should be everywhere. So this is how we build that business knowledge. Now, how do we build the most critical piece, which is a skill and the workforce development piece, right? Because that's the most important piece. And how do we create paid internships? Now, think of this. There are millions of small businesses around the world. If you look at the number of small businesses around the world, it's about 100 million. 80% of these small businesses fail every 5 years. Now, if you're looking for like where did I get the statistics? I've been researching them for a long time, and the numbers are pretty accurate, it seems. Now, imagine small businesses today, they spend about 80% of their time trying to find out who to sell, how to sell, where to sell. So they are spending 80% of their time in trying to find out how and where and how, what to sell, instead of actually selling to customers, which means they just spend 20% of the time. Well, very naturally, if you're just investing 20% of your time engaging with customers, you are bound to fail. Well, one of the biggest challenge for these businesses is the fact there's hardly a resource pool that can actually help them out. Now, these businesses do not have a lot of money, but what if we can create a pool, a source of professionals who are armed with knowledge from the disability community, for example, and they go and work on short-term projects with these small businesses. And very naturally, these small businesses are going to help them define the project, and then it's going to help in transferring of money. So it means it becomes a great platform where one community helps the other community to solve each other's problems. And that synergy, that ecosystem that is created, creates internships, it creates money flow, it creates the skills, it creates the contacts, and it's a two-way system. And this is how people gather work experience. And people in our organization are they are mandated to work on multiple projects at the same time, to feel that work pressure, to feel that team game that has to happen in big corporates, because it's all about team game, right? And when we work on projects, everybody works together under mentorship, and the result is a highly employable, work experienced workforce. And this is exactly what big corporates really need to solve their diversity problem, the 7% rule, etc., etc. Right. And this is the program that we call Project Starfish. And this is what we started 3 years back with an idea that it's going to work. And after 3 years, we have succeeded. We have completely changed the game and created a new model which creates business value, which solves the social problem that we face, which is a national concern. Now, going back to how we are going to be changing the employment situation for professionals with disabilities by creating an ecosystem, I want to quickly tell you that we have got a complete ecosystem that we have developed. We talked about 60 minutes to impact, which is going to create the business knowledge. We talked about Project Starfish, which is going to create the workforce development and the paid work experience so people can get get a chance to develop their resumes, create their own business network, get the opportunities they really deserve and all that stuff. But there's exciting things for professionals who are on the diversity side in these big, corporate companies. And that is we're going to be opening inclusionstream.com, which is a live sharing platform for diversity leaders and employers and recruiters and educators, where they share strategy, where they share jobs, where they share inclusion best practices. For example, it's going to be 100% live, recorded. Anybody can get in and find out, what are the cutting edge jobs, for example, what are the requirements. This platform is going to be amazing for candidates. It is going to be amazing for recruiters. It's going to be amazing for diversity professionals as well. And to make people productive, as you realize, we need technology. So we're going to be creating a complete new incubator with, startups in MIT, Georgia Tech, and all that stuff. And what we're going to do is we're going to come out with the best access tech devices, and we're going to make them, design them, market them through the Project Starfish network to create a better professional. Why? Because technology is going to change lives, right? So this is how we are going to be changing the whole disability diversity landscape by creating an ecosystem. Now, as we realize, corporate diversity leaders who are like the key to employment need solutions. And it is tough. It is tough because there's a lot of triangulation needed, a lot of business cases that need to be developed, a strategy needs to be developed, a lot of internal selling needs to happen. I don't know if I said that second time, but long story short, it is something that we can help you. We have that experience, we have the strategy, we have that execution, we have that consulting. And so let's show you one, right? Let's go for the next slide. So I'm going to talk about a corporate model. So think of this. What if corporates can sponsor a project, and the project comes through the corporate social responsibility angle, right? Corporate social responsibility would mean that you sponsor a program with certain funding, and let us say we are going to take that funding. Of course, we are a nonprofit, so we're going to give you back a 501c3 certificate and tax credits and all that stuff. But we're going to completely invest the whole fund and build knowledge, build the workforce. And we're going to be completely managing the whole ecosystem. As I said, Project Starfish as an organization is going to be managing the whole strategy, operations, project management, interaction, the consulting, the inclusion. We're going to make it easy for you. Okay. Now, this is what we're going to be doing. In any corporates, there are amazing, terrific people who want to create that impact. They want to change people's lives. And in corporates, it's all about speed. It's all about knowledge. What if we can spread the message of the fact that people can invest 60 minutes and they can impact their lives, the lives of professionals who need it. And of course, it's going to help them as well because it's going to create a complete inclusion strategy so they can understand the other person. I can tell you this is one of the best strategies that you can have, where either individuals or vice presidents, directors of companies, and we can even scale the project globally, right? Because today's workforce is global. They can learn from each other. Having a bad day, for example, an individual is not having a good sale, for example, very demotivated. Sure, teach a professional who's blind, for example. The person will not even know the person is blind, but the person can learn from the professional with a disability because it's going to inspire them. Imagine professionals doing the same thing, but the person is blind, and and individuals and vice presidents and people out there globally can learn from each other. That is true inclusion. And the true inclusion over here is the fact that people are investing knowledge, they're investing time, and it's going to be a program that is open to any person inside that organization, and we're going to be managing the whole program along with you. So this is where we can build the knowledge based on the corporate social responsibility um, ideas that we can develop with the funding that we can get from you. But we don't stop there, because now we're going to show you how much more you can get out of it, how much value you can create out of this whole strategy. And we're going to show you that ecosystem that is going to create a win 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 everywhere. So think about this. Now, while this knowledge transfer is going on, we're going to be working internally to find out of this, out of the professionals who are, going through the training, for example, professionals with disabilities who are going through this training, for example, we are watching them, we are understanding them, we are doing case management. Our goal is to identify professional professionals over here who are looking for the opportunities, but we have got to find the potential ones. It is quality before quantity. There are people, we just have to find them out. And we have a program that identifies those people because we are always monitoring performance, right? Second point is that something that we'll need to work together, which is it is very important for us to sit down and identify the processes in the organization and the job needs. Now, why is that? Companies, specifically corporates, are all about speed. They're all about creating a better experience. They're all about execution, execution, and execution. And processes are going to be changing. Job needs are going to be changing. And this is something we'll need to identify. And for that, we are there to help you. We are completely business focused, so you can assure we'll be able to get it done. The third piece is to identify the business leaders. Who are the people? Who are the vice presidents? Who are the directors? Who are the individuals who are game in sharing that knowledge? Who are the people who will buy the strategy that, hey, let's create social impact by transferring knowledge right from the seat or right from through the phone and make it make it flexible for everybody. If somebody wants to create impact, they need to travel 40 miles. They can just hop on a phone and teach for 60 minutes. Now, after this is done, and this is the engagement, the ecosystem we create, the critical thing that we need to launch is the campaign. I'm going to explain further. You see, we are all about creating a workforce, and workforce is all about creating that skill. And this is all about creating that ecosystem. We need a slight tweak in that ecosystem, which is this was the generic, knowledge transfer and engagement and inclusion and all that. But now we got to start involving the top performers. Why? The top performers take responsibility. And top performers would mean top performers from both sides, the business professionals and professionals with disabilities. And we're going to create these amazing, competitions between different people in the organization about how they can mentor and all that stuff. People need to have fun, so we got to give them, make it competitive, and people like that, right? The third piece is the leadership. People want to grow as leaders. If we can create a ecosystem where both parties can develop leadership qualities, that is a win win. And that is exactly what we need to do. The last piece is nothing can be achieved long term until we recognize efforts and accomplishments. So this is what we're going to do. Once this is done, we are going to be creating this campaign, and we're going to be working together and creating a strategy. And this is a strategy. We bring the topmost performers who want to grow, want to make more money in the business world, who the company wants to grow as leaders, for example, and get them to work with the top performers that we have been training. It's very critical because now we go to the second step of involvement and inclusion, creating business value and creating win win for everybody. How? And this synergy is exactly going to be what we talked about, which is let's do small projects where top performers give them a little bit of the job, for example, and give it to them and mentor them and manage the work. And this is how leadership happens, right? People grow. Leadership happens within professionals of disabilities, and the top performers in the business also learn because they are mentoring and managing the project along with them to ensure that the project gets done. This ecosystem of creating value and then learning from each other and managing expectations, this creates leadership at every level for those who are involved. The last bit is the feedback between both parties, which means top performance in businesses and top performers who are at Project Starfish or professionals with disabilities, for example, where they each provide a 360-degree feedback of how they like the mentoring, who's a better leader. And this is where that ecosystem of value is created for each other to learn from each other, right? And this is the ecosystem, as I said, is the model of the future. And this is, as you realized, is where people are creating, we are creating the involvement between both people. And this was something that did not exist. And since we are involving the different people in the organization, it becomes a amazingly tight diversity strategy. Now, let's continue this, which means, remember, as we talked about, that we have created this ecosystem. This is based on value, and that's what businesses want. Businesses move very fast. They want to execute, but they also want to build leadership. They want to build social value. And people who are top performers and busy, they will do it because they want to grow and they have a social responsibility. Now, this is where we move to the third step, which is creating the jobs, which means we have to identify what are the processes in the organization. What are the job functions? What kind of jobs are there? Which jobs need to be speed up? Which jobs do not need to be speed up? If we have to speed up, then we got to put some resources or change processes. What's the cost of the process? Can we put additional headcount, and increase the cost, but can we get more business value? All those stuff needs to be done. And to do that, we're going to be working with you. You're not alone. And this is where we can actually create that that team game that diversity leads are looking for. And this is where we can create the business value. So we can do internal selling. Internal selling is so vital. If we can do that internal selling, nobody's going to think, oh, am I hiring a person with a disability? Nobody's going to say that. People are going to say, let's do it because it's creating business value. This is the biggest challenge that sometimes happens with diversity leads because it is difficult. And this is where we come in and help you because we have a complete end to end platform, consulting, and ecosystem, right? And we can deliver. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you one example of how we will be creating jobs, right? There are many examples. If you want, just reach out to us and we can chat. But this is how we're going to be doing it. I'm going to give you an example of business sales today. All companies, for example, software companies, they are moving to the cloud. The good thing about the cloud is it is the new it is evolution. Companies that could not afford big products, for example, can now use a little bit of money and afford to build their business on the cloud, which also means that people people need to spend a lot of time. Salespeople need to spend a lot of time understanding their customers' needs, processes, their functions, the automation. No more is the sales like, hey, do you want some software? It doesn't work like that anymore. And companies, what they're doing is they want to scale the entire territory. Why is that? Because with cloud, we are creating the democratization of business, building their business faster and better. So, which means the company needs field salespeople. The company also needs a lot of inside salespeople, and the job of the inside salespeople is to, go across the territory. So, if you look at this, couple of needs that come up over here. So, the first need I'm going to talk about is business research. Field salespeople who are tasked with doing big deals, they have to spend a lot of time understanding the companies, the processes, the functions. Salespeople don't have the time, they don't even have the skills, they just need the knowledge. This is going to be an era of business researchers and analysts who are going to be sitting remotely or wherever doing that business research and delivering it to the salespeople and work hand in hand. This is not only inclusion, but this is value. Think about this. Think about the business value. What if professionals with disabilities can actually do cutting edge business research and help the salespeople get extra customers, get extra face time, close extra deals? Do you think salespeople are going to like it? Absolutely, because they can meet their numbers faster. They get more money out of closing deals. What happens to the directors and the vice presidents? They love it too. Does the company love it? Absolutely. You're expanding the business of the company. You're doing business faster. That's speed. That's what companies need. One of the big challenges for salespeople is that they want to get into the account faster. And there's a need for appointment setting. How do you set up appointments today? It's not just by cold calling. It doesn't really happen. You can, but there should be an arm of people doing intelligent appointment setting by understanding the customer's business and then writing emails to them saying, this person would like to meet with you. We have analyzed your business, and this is the reason we want to talk about. So it is relevant to the customers, right? That's the next level of appointment setting that's going to be coming in. Trust me, everybody needs it. And the last piece is people want, companies want businesses to scale. And these businesses, like the corporates of the world, They want to cover the territory because cloud, for example, has created more opportunities in the business space. There is a need for thousands and thousands of salespeople to do this job. And if we don't create talent in the United States, this is going to get outsourced to other places. And as you know, we can stop that. We can stop outsourcing by just developing a pool of professionals in the United States. Now, what happens is let's just bring in our guys. Who are these guys? They are basically the top performers, the different business leaders in your corporate um, uh, structure has been training so far, right? And as you realize that doing this not only creates inclusion, but this creates business and personal relationships. In today's world, who you know matters more than what you know. And this is exactly how these people who might be working part time or under contract will one day get hired. This is going to solve the 7% rule. You do your funding to Project Starfish, and now you're getting amazing employees. Think of that. It's like you paid for a burger, now you're getting three burgers at the same amount of money. The whole system is based on business value. This is going to be the strategy of the future. And the faster you adopt it, the better you're going to look, the better you'll be able to create solutions. And we are there with you. We'll help you every step of the way, not only to create a plan, but to execute. And we'll be executing all throughout the organization and work with those parts of the organization who need to speed up things. Now, if you look at what we talked about, we continuously talk about the ecosystem. Yes, of course, we're going to build an ecosystem, but you also have to understand the critical piece to develop a complete diversity strategy is win, 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 win. I don't know how many wins I have to speak about over here, but there has to be a win win everywhere. The moment if we fail to create a win or a win-win with somebody in the ecosystem, it becomes it becomes a problem. And we can only solve the problem with inclusion, involvement, and people skills, business value, etc., etc. And it'll work. Second point, we talked about business value, so let's move to the next one, which is the inclusion strategy. If you look at this, the whole system is based on an inclusion strategy, is based on complete business value. And the last part is the workforce dev. This is where we also partner with you to provide you the best people to solve the diversity problem. We also solve the 7% rule, for example, and this is where everybody looks good, right? So, as I said, don't do it alone. Let us help you. You know, sometimes two heads are better than one. So give us a chance, give us a shout back. And you can reach me at the numbers over here. My name is Subhashish Acharya. I go by Subs. I'm the founder of Project Starfish. My phone number is 508 395 6379. And my email is subs, spelled as subs but pronounced as subs, at pstarfish.org. Again, I appreciate you listening to this whole presentation. I'm hoping that what I said might be a solution that most companies are looking for. Thank you very much and have a great, great day.